And we're back. We're back for another installment. Oh, this is... Okay, here's the thing. I realized in the last video, when I wore my mic here, I would turn this way to talk, and the audio would be weaker because my voice is away. So I'm wearing a hat to keep the mic in the same spot, but it kind of looks weird. But I will say, check out this hat. The company I work for, OpSpot, this year got us melons, which goes over real well. If you know melon hats, you know that goes over real well with people. So I'm going to wear my premium OpSpot hat with my mic on it. Hopefully it's not too crazy. Looks a little strange. But anyway, back for another installment. This one's going to be a little bit different. This has just been sitting on the board for a few days, and I've kind of just been sitting with it for a little longer to kind of work through it. But I thought I would do this the way in which I think through these things. So I kind of, instead of whiteboarding just the things I want to go through, I actually whiteboarded my process. So you can kind of see how my mind works through all this stuff, which might help make things more useful, by the way, in kind of like going through some of these things. So I wanted to do it in that manner. We'll see how it works. On the left, I put what I call thought dominoes. So usually when these things come to mind, sometimes it can come from me opening the Bible, like I mentioned, and reading something, and then it spurs on a thought, or there's a devotion, or some type of prayer or spiritual activity that gets me in the spirit, and then I play off of that, right, and build my thoughts around that. And by the way, today I'm using my NLT Bible, study Bible that Alex got me. So I switch Bibles all the time, and we'll kind of go back and forth in this one too. But I like to look at different versions and different translations because they have different words in there. And sometimes I like to just get stuck on the words and just really think through what they mean and what they may have meant in the context of the time they were written. NLT is a little bit different. It's more related to how we would talk now, right? Versus King James on the other side of the spectrum. But I have a couple versions that are kind of in the middle. I just like to go back and forth and regurgitate some of these words, and it helps me kind of work through them. So anyway, so NLT today, let me start you on the left side, thought dominoes. This is how my brain works almost every day. In the time of writing all of this, I was thinking, after my last video, I gotta just keep being more like Jesus, right? The 4-step process I mentioned in the last video, the first one, and kind of what we need to do to identify those things and get the bad stuff out and the good stuff in, right? So I'm sitting there. How do I be more like Jesus? What else can I clean up? So these are the dominoes. So that's the first domino. The next one that falls is, what else can I clean up? I do a bunch of stuff still. I made the last video I actually posted was about who your master is. And I used coffee as my like energy bar as an analogy, but coffee is my master, right? I cannot, without getting a headache or have some type of physical reaction, I can't start my day without coffee. I can do other things before coffee. I'm getting better at that, but coffee is one of my masters. Caffeine is one of my masters. And then also phone. Phone I'm still working on. I've deleted all social media except for YouTube, and the only thing I have on there is one block breaker game, and I was playing that game while this was happening, right? How do I be more like Jesus? What else can I clean up? I'm sitting there holding my phone. Phone time. Am I being attacked there? So I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Why would my mind go there to being attacked? And we know the opponent likes to attack us by utilizing one of the masters other than Jesus that we're worshiping at the time, or one of our sins or one of our vices that we shouldn't be partaking in, but we are. So that's where we like to be attacked. That's where he likes to attack us. So that's where my mind went. Am I being attacked there? On my phone, okay, maybe. So let's consider that. Well, when I'm on my phone, I'm in an idle position at the mercy of the world. So playing a block breaker game, whatever it's called, isn't necessarily the same thing as social media. But let's just take YouTube or Instagram, any type of social media app, and just understand and sit in the thought for just a moment that while you are there, you probably justified it by saying, Well, for my business, I need social media, so let me just go on and see what's going on. Well, I like to check in with my family that's on the East Coast, and they post, and I like to see what's going on. Well, for my, I want to cook more for the family, so let me go on and see like what kind of recipes are on there, right? We all know. Come on, everyone knows. You start with that to justify it, and then an hour later you're doom scrolling, right? And then you're idle, right? So your mind is idle, which means you're not working towards Jesus. You're not working towards making yourself better. Forget working towards Jesus or walking with him. That more complex lifestyle. Forget that for now. But just thinking you're not working on a skill. You're not working on how to be more patient. You're not developing a vocabulary. That's something I really should be doing more of. You're not, I don't know, doing something that can help your family, right? You're literally you're in an idle position. And you're at the mercy of the world, of the algorithm. So social media was the example I brought up because that's a perfect example. So the world is now dictating what it has now. You have given the algorithms your attention. You've given your master all that. You've given parts of your energy of the day to that master of the algorithm, social media apps, which use the algorithm. Then the algorithm is essentially the world, right? The world trying to tell you news and opinions and all these other things. And then before you know it, you do that long enough for enough days, weeks, months, years, decades, that everything you say is then regurgitated stuff from the algorithm, the world. When you don't really sit in, it's funny, super quick. I just watched a video on people born from 1986 to 1990, which is me, and how unique that 5-year period was, because the most pivotal time in our neurological development and the way that we understood society was in a transition time between the old world, VHS tapes, cassettes, commercials on TV. If you didn't wake up in time for your Saturday cartoon, you missed it, right? And you have no idea what was on. You don't know what episode it was. The only news you knew was news in your neighborhood. The only current events that you were involved in was something that happened in your neighborhood. You didn't know what was going on in Egypt or whatever, right? You had no idea. Computers were really at school, and it was dial-up, right? So I was just kind of watching that video, and it's very unique because when you allow the world you give social media master your time and your energy and your attention, it's going to feed you things that people born in that 5-year span, 86 to 90, the very beginning part of our development, the most important development for our entire lives, was in the old world. And then we had to grow up with the new world. So it is basically describing how we grew up in two separate generations, kind of. So like we know what it's like to be bored, for instance, is one thing it said. Driven boredom, meaning like I'm going to decide to be bored, right? I'm going to decide. I remember sitting when I had nothing to do and my 2 friends in the neighborhood or 3 friends in the neighborhood didn't answer the phone, and then I would just ride my bike across. They didn't answer the door because I guess I didn't believe them. Well, they didn't answer the phone that they weren't home. So when I did all that stuff and I had nothing to do, I just remember sitting in laying down in our dining room, which had really high ceilings, and I just had like a little Nerf football, and I would just like toss it up, just lay on my back and just toss it and catch it, toss it, catch it. Pure boredom. Nobody was around. Siblings weren't there. Mom was working, whatever. And we are in a unique scenario where that's where our development was built, in the old world. And then we had to grow up in the new world. So there's a lot of confusion going on. It's a very unique place because now I can speak to both, right? But we lived that pivotal time of adolescence was split down the middle, where the world we thought was going to be our world, it just, like in the blink of an eye, faster than any other generation in that developmental time period, did we have to switch to a new order. Not to mention the fact we all graduated into a recession, right? So in 2008, I was in college. Oh, yep, everything's going to be good. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm going to college. I'm going to get a good job. This old world way of thinking, and we're going to have real conversations with people, and we're going to be bored all the time, and that's okay because we know how to deal with it, and we know there's growth, and we know how to do things, and then all of a sudden there's a huge recession. All the jobs are gone, and then it's a new world that's completely online, and we had to figure out how to do it, I guess, because we grew up split time in the old world. So anyway, all that to say, when you're at the mercy of this world, it's a crazy world. Like, I really wish, I'm sure a lot of people watching this, anybody who watches this who is older than me would also, like me, go back to that time where you could just be bored. Everyone has a phone and everything in front of them all the time. So it's just hard to and that's why I like golf. And I always put golf and cigar smoking in the same category because there's nothing else really to do besides talk to the person you're with for 3 hours or more, right? Sure, you can be, you could be on the third hole or whatever, and you could be watching a YouTube video, but generally you don't do that. The people I golf with, we don't do that. Same thing with cigars. We're not on our phones. We're literally there to puff on this thing. That's not a cigar. That's a joint. To puff on this thing. I promise it's tobacco. Okay, calm down. To puff on this thing and then have a conversation, a meaningful conversation. Some of the best conversations I've had remind me of the time that I grew up, right? Where we can just be bored. There's nothing on. There's no game on. There's nothing to worry about. So anyway, I think it's cool. Cool little side note, little side story there. Hopefully the hat thing is working. So back to my thought dominoes. I'm in an idle position at the mercy of this world, the algorithms, this world. I didn't grow up in that time. I wasn't at the mercy of this world. I was at the mercy of my neighborhood. Being at the mercy of the world is absolutely insane. It's just interesting to think of what would happen if COVID happened during that time when stuff didn't spread as much as it did. Viruses spread, but I mean news and stuff didn't spread. How would we have taken it? It would have been a very different thing, right? So then this idle place must be the opponent's playground. Back to where I kind of started the dominoes, right? I'm in an idle position at the mercy of our algorithms. This must be where I'm being attacked, right? Being drawn into these other masters that are not Jesus. So that must be, and I said the opponent's playground, probably something I heard, whatever, but the analogy being that he's like, oh yeah, perfect, I have him. He's not doing anything to be a better man. He's just chilling, right? It's okay to chill. Nobody's saying to not chill. Nobody's doing that. It's just be aware of your masters and try to always be working on being a better dude. That's really the key. Nobody's perfect. I'm still I have a 4 out of 10 in all this stuff. Everyone still has a long way to go. Okay, so they're my thought dominoes. So I'm okay, the idle place must be the opponent's playground. Oh, I don't want to show that part yet. It's too late. Okay. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, the topic, being idle is unfavorable. That's where the topic came from. Thought dominoes, topic. Okay, so sitting there thinking. So it's an unfavorable place to be. So let's try to figure out if I can find some scripture. And then there's Google searching and kind of flipping through, right? And after 2 Timothy, something happened. I'm kind of flipping. I see this title, Titus. I'm relatively new to Bible reading. When I say new, I mean 2 or 3 years. And I've never heard of Titus before. No church sermon I've ever been to or seen online. Not only do I go to church every Sunday, I watch sermons throughout the week from other people. Old school Billy Graham stuff, Joe B. Martin stuff, new stuff. The CCV pastor, Ashley, I can't remember his last name. He's a good pastor. I go to other churches on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. I've taken in a lot of this stuff, a lot of the Old Testament too, even though the New Testament is where I like to live. But a lot of the Old Testament stuff too. I've never seen Titus. I've never seen that name before. It's there's a book called Titus. So I read it, it's a letter. So I'm okay. So let me read through Titus. I'm going to read through it's very important for context. I love study Bibles for this. If you don't have a study Bible, get a study Bible. I'm going to try to read this quickly. Paul, so he wrote this letter too. Paul wrote this letter between his first and second imprisonments in Rome to guide Titus. Titus was a guy. They're all guys. Titus in working with the churches on the island of Crete. So I'll just read it. I won't summarize it. Paul had traveled to Crete with Titus. I think it was Paul's third trip, right? So he went around the Mediterranean in a counterclockwise 3 times. Actually, it might have been 4 times. But it was his third trip that he went with Titus, okay? So Titus had left, Paul had traveled to Crete with Titus on his third trip and had left him there to minister. Crete, the island of Crete, tiny little place, had several good harbors for ships that reached throughout the known world. It also had a strong pagan influence, so non-believers, and its society was known for immorality. This small island may have been a training center for skilled mercenary soldiers hired to serve in Roman campaigns. So pretty rough place, right? Corrupt teachers and leaders had also gained influence in the church. The believers in Crete, therefore, needed strong Christian leadership. So Paul wrote this letter to the leaders that he put in place, to Titus, the leaders and the other leaders he put in place in the island of Crete to minister, because it was a place he traveled, first of all, but second of all, they were in trouble, right? What this turned out to be is, based on everything I just said, plus me reading it, is instructions on how to be a church, I guess. So instructions for church leaders, or what is called in here in the ESV version, elders, the elders of the island. Elders also kind of means church leaders, right? In that sense, in the translation of the word. I don't know what the actual Greek word is, but that's what it is. So he's writing to these people in this island that's having a hard time, and he's saying, Titus, you need to pick elders, basically. You need to pick church leaders, or what's the other word they use? There's another word that's used in there. It's not a pastor. What's above? Bishops. You can choose bishops, right? To be leaders of the churches and spread Christianity, spread the word of Jesus through the island. So this is it's like 3 pages. Yeah, well, this is a study Bible, so it has a lot of explanations in it. But I think it's like 3 pages. It might even be 2.5. But it turns out to be like a manual for picking church leaders, picking elders, and then explaining to them how to lead the church, how to start the church and lead the church, okay? So I'm like, okay, so here we are, went through the 5 dominoes, idle, I'm idle. I don't want to be there because it's the opponent's playground, being idle. So I'm like, let's just dive into Titus. It just popped up. I like to follow the Holy Spirit. Part of that is when this stuff pops up and I'm curious, I just use that. Turns out there's a lot of stuff in the instruction manual for Titus that Paul outlined that help in this idle conversation. So I have 6 sections here. So in chapter 1, verse 7, it talks about a church leader is a manager of God's household. Okay, so we talked about bishop, we talked about elder, church leader. You're a manager of God's household, which is like, it's one thing to say like, oh, you're a leader in your family. Like, that's good. Oh, you're a leader in your job. That's good. You're a leader of your siblings or your friends or your group or whatever. But when you say a manager of God's household, there's something that comes with that. There's something that just feels in the spirit about that. Feels very connected and very important, right? So he lays that out. Like, let's find church leaders that can be a manager of God's household. Still chapter 1, verses 15 and 16, and some of this is paraphrasing. It's not even from the NLT version, it's just paraphrasing. Everything is pure to those whose hearts are pure. Such people claim they know God, but they deny him by the way they live. Okay? I can stand up here, tell my kids in this video, which I've seen a lot of growing up, and they're still all around. Hey, we want you to go to church because we think you should, you need to. Always try not to use those words. My least favorite phrases start with you need to or you should. Like, scratch that out. That's such a limiting way to start a phrase when you're having a conversation with someone. But saying like, you need to know God, or you should follow Jesus, or all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the person talking to you, me talking to you, is in his phone playing a game for an hour and a half before bed and being attacked, right? And even with or without the awareness of that being the opponent's playground, still stinks. It still stinks, and the person you're talking to knows it, right? So I think that's kind of an important distinction. It's like, we can talk about all these things. Such people claim they know God, but they deny him by the way they live, with their phone, with Instagram, with coffee, with eating too much, with living in comfort, all the comfort stuff we talked about in the last video, just staying in comfort, never challenging yourself. You see an obstacle and you're like, oh, there's an obstacle, must mean I'm not supposed to do it. It's like, the obstacle is the way. As long as you're on God's path and you see an obstacle, that is the way. You have to get over or through it, right? And moving on to chapter 2, verses 1 through 2, promote the kind of living that reflects wholesome teaching. Amazing. How am I supposed to be a teacher to my kids watching this, or anybody, if I'm not living the life? Promote the kind of living that reflects wholesome teaching. The living comes before teaching. It should, at least. I guess it doesn't all the time in the world. In many cases, you could probably think of some. But you should probably live the life before you teach, before you're able to teach, right? Professors in college, they got to do so much stuff. Teachers in general. Oh, I have a bunch of teachers in my family. They do a bunch of stuff before they can teach other people. And it's not just about curriculum. It's about connection before correction, right? It's about their ability to build relationships with kids of all ages, to help them learn and be a better self, right? So thankfully my family's full of those, so I can kind of pick from them and just learn from them. Like, they had to learn a bunch of stuff and build a bunch of skills before teaching. And this kind of all plays into being idle. So I'm thinking like, okay, I've obviously found a place where I'm idle and being attacked. And part of this is living the life outside of this idleness, right? Absent of idleness and false gods and other masters that I'm worshiping. Okay, great. This is a good outline. Titus, Paul, brother, this tiny island. Thank you for this little chapter, tiny chapter of like how to do this stuff. Amazing. This is amazing. This is starting to shape up. Okay. Ignore the green for now. Okay, I'll move over here. Staying in chapter 2, verses 6 through 8. And you yourself must be an example to them by doing good works of every kind. That doesn't need an explanation. You kind of understand. We've already talked about that. Being a good example. Staying in chapter 2 still. There's only 3 chapters. Verse 12. We should live in this evil world with wisdom, righteousness, and devotion to God. And there's something weird when you just generally speaking, when you say anytime I brought up this evil world, right? That exact phrase or something similar, like this world sucks. It's usually met with, well, don't be a pessimist. Like, there's beauty in the world. There totally is beauty in the world. Because God created it. There absolutely is beauty in the world. But overwhelmingly, it's trying to kill us, right? The opponent is living with us. He just is. He's trying to feed you anxiety and all this other crap that you don't want to be focusing on. All these false gods. Our bodies have to eat or will die. Our bodies have to drink or will die. We will kill ourselves in worrisome thoughts and just revving up our brains with all this crap that the world gives us. The world is evil. Doesn't mean it's only evil. It just means it contains evil. So anytime I say stuff like that, no matter who I talk to, it's like, oh, that's not a good way to look at it. I'm like, no, I'm not looking at it's only evil and, what are we doing here? It's such a waste of time. I'm not that. I'm just saying it includes evil, and to deny that is kind of silly. And that's actually, in my journey, one of the bigger pillars of understanding that I had to get to is that this world does contain a lot of evil, right? And it's not that I don't have faith in humanity or all those other big phrases that make us feel good. It's not any of that. It's just simply the fact that there is evil, because that forces me to switch my brain around to fight mode, right? Not living in comfort mode. So I would like to fight more than I sit in comfort. And what helps me do that is to understand that likely nobody on this neighborhood cares about what I'm doing today. And actually, 100% that's true. Like, nobody's thinking, oh, I hope Charlie's okay today. I wonder if he had a hard day at work, right? Like, everyone's focused on their own thing and they have their own battles because the opponent puts a phone in front of you. The opponent keeps you away from the gym. The opponent invented Krispy Kreme, you dirty dogs. The opponent did all this other stuff, right? To make things harder for you. The challenger. You could call him the challenger. You could call him Satan, the devil, whatever you want. He exists. He lives here. He's among us, right? He just is, okay? So for me, it's just always easier to understand that. That was a big step in my faith journey, is to just, hey, yeah, it is here. And that is a crappy thought. That sucks. I hate that. I hate that thought. But it's reality. And sometimes when you grow up, you just have to understand what the reality of the situation is. It's not sunshine and rainbows. Yes, thank you, God, for giving us those things. But there's always something that is challenging you and pushing you. And you either give up or you fight. And that has helped my brain turn into the fight mode. So anyway, chapter 12, back to I don't want to be idle, right? We should live in this evil world with wisdom. Even though it's evil, still live with wisdom. Still live with righteousness. Not self-righteousness, but righteousness with the fear of the Lord and a devotion to God, okay? And then chapter 3, closing it out, our people must learn to do good by meeting the urgent need of others. Then they will not be unproductive. That's what I'm talking about with idle. So I'm thinking all these thought dominoes of me being idle is unproductive. And actually, NLT version says unproductive. NRSV, UE, and ESV both say unfruitful. That's why I like to look at the different Bibles, right? That's another way to look at it. Another way to understand it using different vocabulary words. It's kind of helpful. So that's the idea. I don't want to be idle. I want to be productive. I want to be fruitful. I'm here with a purpose. I want to live out that purpose. Tim Tebow says, everyone was created on purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose. Amazing. That's so true. That's so true. Every single person that has come and gone in whatever path they walked, on purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose. And I want to be productive for my family. I want to be productive for whoever's watching this. My kids specifically. I want to be productive for you. This is I think my biggest job for you. I can provide and protect and do all those other things, but being a leader in faith, I think, is my number one to my kids. Okay? So I want to be fruitful. I want to be helpful to you. And that kind of closes out my highlights of Titus and how it relates to not wanting to be idle anymore, right? It's not to say that we shouldn't relax. We should always take that vacation, right? And we should always sit. I always think about the cruise vacation we took, and then we went to Puerto Vallarta for like an excursion, where we go off the boat. And this was years ago. And if you know the two of us, right? My wife and I. So we get to the island. My wife wants to sit on a hammock that is like kind of partially over the crashing waves, right? But you don't get wet. It's just kind of under you. And I wanted to go on a hike. Perfect, right? That's like literally exactly describes us. So I'm going up on the hike and I have a picture looking down on her and she just looks like she's in heaven. She just looks, when my wife goes to Mexico, there's something that happens. I don't know if it's like a frequency thing or like a magnetic thing or a spiritual thing, especially Cabo, which is nowhere near Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta is the forest side, right? Cabo is more of the California desert side type of terrain. But you should always have the ability to do that, to take that trip and sit on the hammock, right? And that's okay. As long as you're not idle. Like, you can sit on the hammock, but maybe the first thing you do is take 10 seconds. Dear God, thank you so much for this moment. Thank you for providing this time for me to sit and reflect on this trip and this weather and everything you provided. In your name I pray, amen. 10 seconds? I don't know. What's the clock say? Maybe less than 10 seconds? That's productive. Now you've picked up the phone to Jesus and you're like, listen, hey, yo, I'm here. There's nothing, there's no phones, there's nothing going on. There's nobody around me. I'm just here and there's this water, this ocean that you created, which just waves everywhere, right? Like amazing. There's nothing happening. There's just sunshine and you've opened the door to have a conversation with our creator. That's productive, okay? So that's like, I don't want to be too hard. It also comes off as being hard on myself, which I don't want. Of course, that's not the intention in any way. I do like to relax, but I want to be more productive because I'm here to steward a relationship with my wife and my kids. I don't own the experience of being a husband. There are millions of husbands, trillions of husbands in the span of humankind. I don't own the experience of being a dad. There are billions of dads, right? Since humans were a thing, right? I don't own that experience. I'm stewarding. They have their own relationship with God. They have their own conversations with Jesus. I'm stewarding my relationship with them. Right? I'm not putting myself between them and God. I have my own relationship with God. I have my relationship with them. They have their own relationship with God, relationship with me. I'm never going to cut that triangle. I'm never going to make that a triangle, ever. I'm never going to be in the way of that. I'm stewarding these people. That's all I'm doing, right? So it's okay to relax, and I don't want to be too hard on myself, and you shouldn't be too hard on yourself either, because you have to relax. You have to be able to sit on the couch and like take some breaths, right? But I would challenge you to try sitting on the couch without your phone and the chips and the game and the beer. Oh, no beer. Don't do the beer. Come on. Maybe every once in a while I'll do the beer, but you don't need that. So I would challenge you to find another way to be productive in that moment. And I bet you, depending on what your comfort zone is, that's mine, is couch, chips, and TV, that you would enjoy your time more and actually feel more rested if you didn't have all that other stuff and you just started with peace. You started with peace, with the intention of gaining more peace and maybe gaining more understanding. Put the TV on. But don't, all the other stuff is okay. In the commercial breaks, do 10 push-ups or whatever. I don't know. Find a thing. I don't even do that. I'm just spitballing ideas. But just find something. Just find something to be productive. It doesn't mean that you're working all the time. It just means that you're going to make use out of the comfort time, just like you would make use out of the busy time, out of the plow time, resting and plowing. There's usefulness in both, right? So just a cool way to kind of go through Titus and apply it. And I just wanted to show thought dominoes how I think, okay, now I get to the end of this thing and I'm like, okay, be unproductive. So what's like the opposite? Okay, now I have to remind myself. What's the opposite of, well, what's productive? What's the opposite of unproductive? I think specifically what I looked up was words that are opposite to idle is likely what I did. So I broke them out in terms of like groups, right? So the opposite of idle. What are some examples? Okay, I'm idle when I'm on my phone. What's the opposite? Okay, you're saying all this cool stuff. What do I do now? So in the activity bucket, right, words are active, bustling, energetic. You're not active, bustling, or energetic when you're playing block breaker, bricks, whatever that I'm playing on my phone an hour and a half before bed. There's nothing active, bustling, or energetic about that. Okay, maybe you don't need the active stuff. That's during the day. Okay, what about being useful, functioning? I wouldn't describe myself as functioning. I would describe myself as alive because I'm breathing and I'm drinking water and I'm playing a game, but I wouldn't say I'm like I'm not performing a function. I'm just sitting there, just like dead to the world. In the effort category, we have productive, okay, opposite of unproductive, and then ambitious. There's nothing productive or ambitious about me playing block breaker. Nothing. In terms of thoughts, what's the opposite of idle in thoughts bucket? Meaningful and purposeful thoughts. It's possible I could have meaningful and purposeful thoughts while I'm sucked into my phone. It's unlikely. I suppose it's possible that I'll have thoughts, but I'm not doing anything with it. I'm not capturing it in a notepad. I'm not translating it by reading something in the Bible. I'm not trying to cross-reference things to be useful enough to come up with a video like this for family. So I suppose I can get around that with thoughts, but likely not fruitful thoughts, not productive thoughts, because I'm not going to do anything with it. So at the end of the day, I don't want to be idle. I don't want to be unproductive or unfruitful. Thank you, Paul, for giving this letter to Titus to kind of outline what it's like to select church leaders as managers of God's household and to minister to people on that island, like an instruction manual, because I can take this, I'm not starting a church, but I can take this and apply it to how I'm leading my family. All of this stuff applies perfectly to how I'm leading my wife in faith and my kids in faith, and my understanding that my altar is in my house, right, is just right in the kitchen in the morning. That's my altar. And all I'm doing is transcribing, providing value and energy and light and humility and understanding and a fear of the Lord and a unity amongst us, right? So that's my altar. My altar is right over there. This is a good blueprint to help. These are some words in green that you can kind of use it as like a litmus test when you're doing something. It's not ambitious, it's not active, it's not functioning, it's not purposeful. All right, you're idle, brother. Get out of there. You're idle. And then you could almost scrunch all that stuff together. Okay, so what do? I don't know. Anything that is work, anything where you're striving, or anything where you're exerting. I just looked at that and tried to condense it. So is it work? Are you striving to get better at something? Or are you exerting yourself physically or mentally in any way? There's no way you could be idle, I don't think, while you're working, striving, or exerting any effort. Which leads to the final, most important thing that I hope everybody in my family can understand. Everyone who watches this video could understand. This is such an important thing, said so many different ways, but this is just the way that just came out of the pen and onto the board. The Christian lifestyle is difficult. It's not difficult because somebody said it was hard, or because we have a Bible full of people doing dumb crap and being reprimanded or disciplined by God. That's not why it's hard. Sure, maybe that contributes to it. The Christian lifestyle is difficult because it's choosing to do the right thing when it's the hardest, over and over and over and over. I didn't do that many overs, but that's over and over. And I'm not saying like starting your day with a prayer seems hard, but it seems like the hardest thing to do in the moment, but it's the right thing to do because that's what the Christian lifestyle is. That's one thing. Then choosing to not yell at anybody in the house when the kids are fighting. Choosing to not send the snarky email back to the person who sent you a snarky email. Choosing to eat whole eggs and an avocado for breakfast instead of pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes or whatever. Choosing to go to the gym and not sit on the couch. Choosing to, when you get done with work, go up to your wife and say, what can I do to make your day better today? You know what you need to do. I know I need to take the trash out and do the dishes every day. That's just a guarantee. Everything else, everything on top of that, what else can I do? If I can't look around and see something that needs to be done, what can I do today to make your day better, wife? That's hard. Even when you have a hard day at work like I did today. Really hard day. And I don't do all that stuff all the time. Just examples. There's 5 things. What did I say? 4 or 5 things. But there might be 50 things throughout your day, any day. Maybe there's like an average of 50 things, 50 decisions that you have to make in the way that you react to things or don't react to things, because we're not reactive, right? We fight against being reactive. We fight against our especially as men, we fight against letting our emotions control what comes out of our mouth and our actions with our body, right? We fight against that. Not fighting somebody, speaking of fighting, not fighting, getting in a fight with another guy that you think did you wrong. We've all seen those clips of, especially in Arizona, where road rage is like a thing, right? So we've all seen the clips of the guy, road rage, gets out of the car. Brother, what are you getting out of the car for? Like, emotions complete, like the opponent in that scenario was like, ha, got him. And by the way, I've been working on him all week. And he has not been making the hard choices when it's the hardest. He's been not fighting and allowing me to get in there to piss him off just enough. So when that guy cuts him off, he gets out of the car and wants to fight, okay? There might be 50 things throughout the day that you decide to do the hard thing. It's, as long as it's a Christian thing, if it's in the Word, right? The Beatitudes, should probably do a video on the Beatitudes in Matthew too. Anything in terms of what Jesus was like and what he's calling us to do and be like as humans, and it fits. It's the hardest thing oftentimes because the world has evil in it, and it's choosing to do the hardest thing, or the right thing, when it's the hardest time to do it. When you feel so reactive and so emotional and so tired, and all these things build up in you, and you just feel that you earned the right because of all the stuff that has happened to you in the day and the way that you feel to lash out at the next person that you come across. That's so hard to not do it. That's so hard. So incredibly difficult. But that's what it's like to be a Christian. That's the Christian lifestyle. That's what I'm saying is so difficult. It's so difficult to eat right all the time. It's so difficult to exercise every day and get sun every day. God gave us that sun, people. Don't be afraid of it. Vitamin D, let's go. Get your sun. Get some in the morning. If you can, back in the afternoon. It's okay. It's not going to kill you. Just go out there for a few minutes. Let the sun go into your eyes in the morning. Great for circadian rhythm. God gave us that. It's the greatest source of energy, which, by the way, is how I describe God himself in my own brain, is the sun. You can't even look at it. God is described in the Bible many times. If not, you can't even look at it because it's blinding, right? So get sun. Do all these things that you know are good for your body and good to, in terms of helping you become a better person. Do them, even though they're hard. And you do that every day, over and over and over. And yeah, you slip here, over and over, and then lust comes up, anxiety comes up, insecurity comes up. Do the right thing over. Don't go to that website. Do it today, and then that pops up again later. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. Do the hard thing. Do the right thing when it's the hardest. Then you do it again and again. Don't drink, and again and again. Don't eat the donuts and bonbons and all the other crap that we're eating. Don't do that. It's hard. It's very difficult. But that's what it came down to. So just to kind of, this is exciting. Thought dominoes. I actually kind of like this layout because it helps me relive the thought, but also I can add commentary. So it's like me talking about me, probably to me. Thought dominoes. Understanding I want to be more like Jesus. Let's go back to the top. It's all because I want to be more like Jesus. All because we're striving to be more like Jesus. Found out I'm idle still in a lot of places. One of those being the phone. Found Titus. Titus happens to be a instruction manual for choosing church leaders and ministering to people who need it the most. Especially in the very end where it says, by meeting the urgent needs of others, just like on the island of Crete. Okay? And not being unproductive. Some action words to give yourself a litmus test. If you're being idle, if you're being productive, whatever the case is, just throw these words through your brain and see what happens. See how you react to them. Work, strive, exert. If you're doing one of those things, you're not idle. And then the last thing all boils down to doing one of these three things all the time is really hard. Why is that? Because the Christian lifestyle is difficult. It's choosing to do the right thing when it's the hardest. Over and over and over. So I thank you for the second iteration of Office Sermons. Oh, and I do have to say, my daughter put this. I wrote this on Mother's Day, so we're a little bit behind. But Happy Mother's Day, my daughter wanted to say with a heart. So she wanted me to close with that. So there you go. Any mothers out there, way past Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day. So let's just say a prayer. I don't know how I'm going to do this with the microphone, but we'll do it like this. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our time here together virtually. We know that when there's multiple people in a room at once, and we pray that you're with us. I really hope in this new world that works virtually. It probably doesn't. We still need to be together physically, but maybe it will. You're the one who would know. Maybe you're with us right now. But we thank you for our time together. We thank you for this letter that Paul wrote with Titus to take with him to Crete and kind of start that ministry there. We do want to be those leaders in our family and in our community first, spreading out from there. But we thank you for this message, and we don't want to be idle. We want to be more like you. We want to be more like the guy that can fall asleep, Jesus, who can fall asleep in a boat that's in a storm, that's literally in a storm, winds and waves, and he's asleep. We want to have the peace that guy has. We want to understand that focusing on all the other stuff when we're idle of this world will take us further from that state. We want to have that peace. So be with us this week, and please continue to show us the opportunities that come up for us to be more like that, and the things that we need to do, the steps we have to take in faith to be more like Jesus and be able to take a nap in that boat. Let us have that peace. In your name I wait, I hope, and I pray, Jesus. Amen. All right. Hopefully the hat did its job. I will see you guys on the next one.